Ready to let people in, Pete?
Yeah. Okay, there's people here. Hello, everyone. Hi, Chrissy.
Hello, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Hello, everybody. Should we get started, Joe?
Yeah, we can do, or do you want to just wait 2 minutes in case we've got any?
Yeah, let's wait a couple of minutes. People are maybe finishing lunch breaks and stuff.
Hi, Joey.
Hi, yeah.
I might turn my camera off because I'm eating my lunch as well. I'll turn my
Ready to go, Pete?
Alrighty, let's get started. I'll just turn this elevator music off. Slow fade. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Co-Designing Your Sustainable Future with me and Joey. So Joey and I we just finished being students of MA Design for Social Innovation and Sustainable Futures. And this is a workshop that was spawned from one of our projects about designing speculative futures. So we're really interested in obviously in sustainability and building a world that is more kind of sustainable and that we can continue to enjoy. And through our research, we kind of discovered that a lot of the views of the future are quite kind of dystopian and pessimistic, and sustainability is seen as this compromise and sacrifice that you have to give up things and do less of things in order to stay alive. But surely the whole point of being alive is to make the most of it and enjoy it. So these two things are kind of getting in the way of each other, and then they're not really helping each other out. So this narrative of sustainability being something you have to sacrifice is getting in the way of us actually achieving it. So Joey and I kind of did some research about, well, what are the solutions to all of the things that are wrong with the way we're doing things at the moment in terms of environmentalism and the way that we produce everything at the moment. And we found that a lot of the solutions to our problems kind of already exist. So we know how to make plastics without using oil, for example. We know how to collect energy from the sun really, really efficiently now. So all of these solutions exist. The problem is we're just kind of not like really excited about making them kind of mainstream. So we decided to create a place called Morsey, which is just your kind of average UK town. But 40 years from now, in the 2060s, when everything's kind of climate change has been solved, coronavirus is gone, and it's just kind of a summer of love, and we can all just have a great time and live our best lives without these kind of mammoth problems hanging over our heads. So without any further ado, we'd like you to take a little trip to Morsey, and I'll introduce Morsey now.
Yeah. So, welcome to Morsey. I know, the jet lag's savage, isn't it? 40-year time difference, you know. Go sleep it off and we'll see you later. Can I take that bottle from you? Don't worry about wearing a mask, darling. COVID's over.
I mean, we all know that, you know, the celebration, we all dress up as doctors and nurses and clap ourselves. And you know, it's a lovely feeling to know that we beat something like this.
Like, I just remember there being like street party after street party, like people hugging. Like, I've never seen the British public be so tactile with one another.
It was amazing. I mean, we'd gone so long without being able to touch each other that there was, you know, extra touching.
An incredible experience. It was like Mardi Gras. People were out on the streets, drinking, partying, dancing. And there was other bits and pieces as well. Absolutely. I mean, it was great fun.
People would, you know, people would shake each other's hands on the tubes for no reason.
Did you sleep well? Oh, I know. Those soft seaweed sheets. Come through to our restaurant. Take a look at our Morsey Metro for some local tips. What can I get for you? Soup, wonderful choice. Back in a mo. Chef! Oh no, what's happening? Oh, sorry about this, the screen's gone down. Tap your feet for me, we need to make some electricity. On the floor, there, come on, that's it. Feel that energy you're making? It's powering our screens. These days, everything's powered by nature or elbow grease. In this case, yours. Thanks for that.
You know, I'm the type of guy that will put pressure pads in his floor to power the house. But I don't know if you heard about this. This came, I don't know, it was like 4 years ago. And there was a woman in Swansea that used 16 cats to power a home.
Soup. And remember that plastic bottle? Rini put into a spoon for you. Finished, darling? Kelp cocktail? Yeah, I finished 10 minutes ago. Oh, cool. Well, I guess I'll have what you're having. That band are amazing, Lai. Yes, this is fun. No, you're very nice. Come on, let's go dancing. It's not far. Cars? No, there's no cars. There's no roads. They sank in the 40s, darling. They put Swindon on stilts, you know. Anyway, what do we need roads for? We're going dancing.
All right, so that's a little taste of what we believe might be one possible future. Morsey, set in 2060. So that was kind of our initial take on the world. And now we're going to take you to a exercise full of lots of really interesting questions that help you to build worlds. And we're going to try and get some more input from you guys using those questions on what Morsey might be like. So what do you see when you wake up in the morning and that kind of thing. So I think someone is going to send a link in the chat. Is that right?
Yeah, the Miro link, and I'm just, if you could stop sharing your screen, then I can share mine. So the link will take you to a Miro board, you shouldn't need to be able to sign in, but when you just come along, if you're really struggling with Miro, I'm sharing my screen so you can follow on in the screen. Just let me know that's what you're doing for the breakout room exercise, as it will get a little bit complicated. But yeah, so once you come here, come to the big welcome board, and I'll just talk through what we're going to do today. So yeah, we're going to do a little exercise to get us all acquainted with Miro. Some people might have been using it since the beginning of lockdown, but some people might have not used it at all. We're going to run through some situations of how Morsey might be as a citizen of Morsey. Then we're going to share our ideas and kind of have a little discussion on what you think is missing in this world. We're really excited to collaborate on this idea. This has been built through co-design, and we can talk with you guys a lot more about that if you're interested. We ask for everyone to be active listeners and participants within this call. Video call isn't perfect and there can always be issues, so mute your mic, but if you have any questions, please just put them in the chat or unmute your mic if you need to get our attention. But yeah, is anyone having any major issues at the moment? I can see there's like 6 participants at the moment. Awesome. So as everyone's just coming in, just to get us all started, we're going to start off with just a little exercise to practice how we do sticky notes, as that will probably be the best way for everyone to document their ideas and thoughts. So what you need to do is on the left hand, if you're on a computer, on the left hand side, there will be a little sticky note. Create a sticky note and then write your name in the sticky note. And then we're just asking everyone as well, because there can be a lot of you, if you could just make your sticky note small, so when you're clicking on the sticky note, there's a sticker size in the tab that goes above the post-it note, and just click the S for small. And there's also a little tutorial on the bottom left hand side. If anyone doesn't like all the arrows on their page, I find it really helpful for facilitating the session, but I understand it can be distracting. On the top of your screen, there should be the share button, and on the left there's like a little arrow, and it click on hide collaborators cursors. Is that okay for everyone? Anyone really struggling? If you are, just unmute your mic. Awesome. So I'm going to keep going, but just unmute or put something in the chat if you're struggling. We've introduced Morsey to you in a very interesting way, but we've also produced those videos more in depth, and we have an Instagram page as well if you're interested. And I know it's also in the chat where we kind of create news stories from Morsey in 2060. But we just wanted to start off by just answering any questions, thoughts, queries about the world. If you want any more in-depth knowledge about Morsey before we start our activities, now is the time. You can write a sticky note if you don't want to unmute your mic on the add questions and queries here box further down, or you can just unmute your mic. Okay, we'll be keeping an eye on this board throughout the session, so if you do suddenly have any questions, oh, Naomi's writing something, but if you do have any other questions, just come back and add it there and we can carry on adding.
I like your question, Naomi.
Do you want to answer it, Pete?
Oh, I'm not sure she's finished it. Like,
Yeah, we'll just wait a second.
if it's just what is the pursuit of happiness, then I'm not sure I want to answer that. It's quite broad.
I was looking to check how you spell Morsey.
Ah,
That's what held me back. But yes, so my question was, I didn't want to ask what's the main industry, because I thought that was wrong. You know, in your description of your of this world, it didn't seem the right question in terms of what do people do. But that's why I thought the question around pursuit of happiness. So what would the inhabitants of your place be doing in terms of pursuit of happiness? And I'll look up how you spell Morsey.
Yeah, I think the pursuit of happiness is always a subjective thing, and I think that's what we're trying to get across, is that while a lot of sustainability kind of narratives talk about, oh, you can't do this thing that you really like, which is seemingly everything. Actually, in Morsey and in the future, you can do whatever it is that you enjoy doing, because we've kind of ironed out all of those issues that mean that driving fast cars or watching your telly, which is powered by fossil fuels, or whatever it is that you like to do in the evening or in your free time, is possible to do without damaging your kind of the life systems that you depend on to do those things in the first place.
Yeah, I guess as well, like when we're talking about industries, so the focus of Morsey is our thriving seaweed farms that we have across the coastland. We have Morsey kelp, that's our
Morsey
famous kelp around here, but we also have a really big group, like obviously green is just taken over, so a lot about renewable energy, active transport are all really big areas. So it's very similar to what it is now, but we've kind of just adjusted the way we live our life to suit a more sustainable world. So the careers have changed from, and so farmers now work within the cities and things like that, but it changes.
For me personally, the pursuit of happiness is obviously spending time on my luxury yacht with my solar-powered sauna.
Yeah.
But you know, each to their own. It's not for everyone.
Nope. Especially if you're seasick, that just will not work. But I did wonder whether there would have been a change around. That's why, again, the kind of the idea of happiness and pursuit of happiness is whether some of the values that we might hold now as so important, that have been quite shaken up by our current situation, if we move forward by a certain amount of time, that's significant enough for us to start looking differently at the world. And our world and the environment we live in is different, and supporting that, whether those values will fall away and new values would come in. So yeah. I guess it's a double sort of sided question, if you will.
Yeah, so I think this links really well with the sacrifice of people and the new forms of joy question as well. So when we began this project, but in our speculative future, during COVID, it was a real time of reprioritization and a really reshift of the world. And the UN has announced how we can kind of build back better and shift all our policies to greener policies. So that's what happened. So yeah, there was transitions, but this world just goes to show that what we might see as sacrifice in the future is actually beneficial for us and has made us a way more happier nation. We don't have cars, so everyone walks around a lot more and are active and healthier. So one thing that we would have seen in 2020 as a sacrifice, in 2060 we kind of laugh at the days we thought that. So yeah, I think keep adding questions because we can carry on with more questions throughout the session, but we're just going to move on to our main activity of today, just to keep with the time schedule that we have. So today we're working on kind of building and making Morsey more fruitful. We're continually creating stories based on the world of Morsey Metro, and so today we're inviting you to get involved and create your own stories, pictures, collages and jokes based on the area of Morsey that you're looking at. So we're using the Donna Ella Meadows Guided Envisioning of Sustainable World. It's a really amazing presentation she did, and this is kind of a list of questions she's looked at to how we can kind of create a fruitful, speculative future. So you'll all be split into breakout rooms, and you'll have 5 minutes to introduce yourself and what you think of Morsey as a group. Then you'll have 5 minutes to look at the questions individually and collect images, thoughts and ideas around them as individuals. And then you'll get 10 minutes to discuss and develop your thoughts as a group, ready to present one of your ideas as a group to the rest of us. So it can be your favorite, funniest, most optimistic idea. But we really encourage everyone to keep all their ideas on their relevant boards, because we will use all of your ideas at some point, and all your ideas are always awesome. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, I will kind of carry on, but I just wanted to give a moment for people to have any questions that they might have. No, okay, that's fine. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna break into breakout rooms. We will keep the chat box going with kind of updates of what you need to be doing if you get lost, but you can always read what's happening and ask us questions. So you'll all be in each team and you will go to that relevant board as a team. I think everyone's coming back now. If you can just make sure that your mics are muted now that you're all back in the main room, so we're not all talking on top of each other. But yeah, that was super exciting to see. You guys were all getting so into it at the end. I was really amazing to see how you were all working really, really differently. And if you look, like now zoom out on the Miro board, you can kind of even see it just with the post-it notes.
There's so much. It looks great.
It's great. It's been really lovely to see everyone work, and I hope you enjoyed it. Like, I know this was only like a snapshot, it was like 20 minutes, but you guys came up with so many cool ideas, and it'd be interesting to see how many more you could have with a bit more time. But we're going to start off, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to start off with team 1, and they were exploring kind of on a micro scale the home. So if someone from that group just wants to explain, you literally just have 2 minutes to explain what you found most interesting.
Cool, I can do it just quickly. So I think we we had quite a varied conversation from the micro to the macro. I think we were talking a lot about like the sort of like the home itself being like an amazing sort of energy creating space, a space where you could take ownership over like recycling, mending, repurposing objects, that there was no longer a sort of enormous system for that stuff, that it kind of belonged, it belonged in the home and also on the street. We were also thinking about like energy creation being about kinetic energy. I think you touched on it with stamping your feet, but like you could put that into children's toys or like play spaces or gardens or, you know, public spaces. So all kind of movement and play and engagement had that like that kind of output. And then we also really like the idea of like animals and nature just being like a total like normal part of life. So like even just in your house or knocking about your garden or in your street, there's just wild animals everywhere, and we don't own animals anymore. We don't try and sort of dominate them, we just look after them and care for them between us in communities, and they're kind of part of our like friendship groups almost. And then it led us to a conversation about like what is success, like what are alternative ways of understanding measures of success if it's not about GDP anymore. So like, how do you measure like animal happiness and like nature's happiness, or the or cleanliness, or you know, the quality of a beach, and etc etc. So how those things can then be part of how we understand success in our lives.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we went off on one.
That's amazing. What's really interesting as well is you've covered quite a lot of the areas that are covered in the Donatella Meadows kind of tabs, just looking at one, but they're super, super interesting. So we're going to move to team 2, who are doing the neighborhood.
Tom or TJ, do you want to go through some of these? Your favorite ones?
Yeah, I don't mind. I can go through my ones.
Right.
Oh, I can't read it. It's too small on my screen.
Or do you want me to move it bigger on?
Could you zoom in a little bit, please?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So at the top we've got. Oh, sorry. Could you scroll up a little bit? Yeah, we've got that technology might be able to improve the lives of older people in the future if it gets cheaper and more personalized. Maybe as we get older, we'll have a better quality of life than what we're seeing now, and older people can get more involved in the community and in events as it becomes more available and assistive. And I hope so, because I'll be old then, so that'd be good. A greater mix of rich and poor, and countryside and farms and ethnicity. I was saying that in the UK you get, like, they're not specific, but I think you do get divides of rich and poor, countryside, city, different ethnicities in certain areas, and it'd be great if that was much more integrated, and there was more connection between the different types of people and different skills that they all have and knowledge. And then I'll just talk about my ones, which are the blue ones. So Industry 5.0, at the moment there's Industry 4.0, which is sort of the AI and technology revolution. But once AI has taken over a certain amount of jobs, what will then be available? And I was thinking that creative roles in solving a lot of the problems that we're making might become available. So thinking about floodplains and how to resolve that, and heating in other parts of the world. There'll be a lot of jobs popping up around fixing things, hopefully. And hopefully there'll be a lot of people available to that. So if they can be retrained and their creativity used, then that might be good. Yeah, and then decentralizing, I think that was on the last one, like decentralizing waste processing so it's more visible, and energy as well, making that more visible. And then service design for new services I put. So yeah, the government are talking a lot about building new things, but we also need new services to help people to go along with all the new technology that's coming in.
That's great. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, and then last of all, we have got team 3 discussing the surrounding community. So I'll zoom in a bit more. If one person just wants to briefly go through what they did, what they've thought about.
Sure, I can explain. So we were thinking about how we would share our way of life and our things we create with outside community to educate people. And we were thinking about a festival of seaweed where we'd invite everyone to join us for seaweed wine and pasta, and we'd have different cultural events, competitions. We would share recipes, and also there would be an opportunity to trade with surrounding communities too. We'd wear costumes and made of seaweed, of course, and we'd have seaweed lanterns. Yeah, I think that covers it.
That's awesome. Yeah, so what you've done today, guys, is amazing, and I love this little like activity to really get your mind starting to think. And I guess the reason why both Pete and I have created and continued to create Morsey is we're trying to show an enjoyable speculative future where we can both survive and thrive. We found that there was a lot of like negative connotations when it came to speculative design, specifically around climate change, and we thought that there's two ways to kind of make people promote change, and we're presenting a more positive outlook of what a sustainable future could look like that wasn't about we are sacrificing, but it's not presenting it in that kind of narrative. How would that create change? So we're still carrying on. So if you want to get involved, please get in touch with us. You're welcome back to this board whenever you want, and you can share it with your own futures if you want to create. Follow us on Morsey Metro. We have about 8 minutes left, and this is just time to kind of just reflect on how you found the session. If you could write like what you think we're missing, if you scroll down the board a bit more, what you think we might be missing in our world, and then what you enjoyed about this session, and even better if we're open for discussion as well over this 8 minutes. It's just a really good time to kind of reflect and have a think about what you've done and what you enjoyed and how we could make this better.
I want to live there, someone's written. Excellent, that's a good start.
I thought it might be nice to hear people's voices, so I'm going to break with convention and say things rather than
Definitely, do it.
write. Mainly because recently when I've attended meetings, people kind of enjoy them for the meeting rather than the only just the exercise. So seeing others. I just think we in our conversations we thought, is it just an enclave or would it be bigger? So are we seeing Morsey as a kind of a zoom in on one little area, and around it is kind of wilderness and dissolution and, you know, kind of post-apocalyptic landscape? Or is this, you know, everywhere, and therefore we all live in there, and or as Joey, you threaten you have to have citizenship because you don't get in otherwise.
I think it's I discussed this with the other group. So Morsey is supposed to be presented as like a town that's like a seaside town anywhere in the UK. So I think it's like 40% of the UK will be flooded by 2060. So the most of the UK will be seaside towns. So we're trying to present it as a way that it's this is the norm everywhere, but also like we try and make ourselves look special because that's what every seaside town tries to do.
Yeah, climate change is good for fish and chip shops and sandcastle makers, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so that kind of the idea of an island is something that we've picked up on as well. But we just kind of the geography that, you know, we always return in a way somehow to the physical world, don't we? So that was the interesting part. Thanks.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, we've had some great kind of discussions on there. I guess with the government one, I think through this journey we didn't have that much time when we first started this project, and we found that there was a lot of barriers when we started talking about governments and politics, and it became this thing that wasn't what we had thought about. So although we evolved a lot of thinking around politics, we've kept like government and politics out of the narrative because it creates kind of, we found with our participants, this kind of leftist or rightist view on the world, and so that's why we've kept out of it. But I'd love to know if anyone has experience or like other ways that they might present kind of government policies, or like, or are you trying to discuss it as like, how can we get this to happen? I guess that's my kind of question back.
I think it's really interesting to like go to the radical, like with that stuff as well. Like what is a radical new way of living together? But you're right, like the temptation is always to see it through the paradigm of kind of left and right. But like, is there another view that we just haven't quite understood yet because we've been living in the same political structure for so long? Yeah, I don't know. I think it's really interesting to explain like, how do values and all of those sorts of things become much more dominant in how we live together? I don't know. I think it's cool. I want to live in Morsey.
I agree in the sense that I think over time our values change a lot slower, I guess, than other things, and it will take time. So 40 years might be too short. But what I wondered is how do we account for human nature and this kind of continuous balance of the individual and the community and the kind of prioritization of that, and which we know over the years, over the decades, centuries, swings from kind of more towards community, more towards the individual, and also how do we account for the kind of the fact that it is grey, and we're always grey, and we always think that we're doing the right thing, but maybe not, and you know, the kind of the dark side. Sorry. That's where politics for me sits. There's the reason, the need for politics is to regulate how communities come together and sort of establish certain value systems around fairness, I guess, and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. I think our decision to be apolitical was more so that people can engage in exercises like this without getting their hackles up about which side they think things should be or that kind of thing, and talk about the rest of it, which is equally important, like, you know, how things actually work, rather than who's in power. Yeah. Someone's written about like detail and that kind of thing, and I think this is something that I'm particularly kind of keen to like flesh out as well. Like, how do we express this world? So has anyone got any ideas about like extra details that we could show, or that for them kind of sum up like a world, or anything they've seen from sci-fi films or from TV shows or anything like that, or books? It's a very big question.
Make it virtual, like Chrissy said, make it virtual, so maybe like a virtual reality, you step into the world.
Okay.
I think so at the moment what we've been doing is kind of producing comical like Time Trumpet, but also the new thing that came out was Death to 2020, kind of that kind of comical look at 2060, from 2060 looking back into the past. So that's where our focus has been. What would planning applications, like provocations and things like that. I think it's been it's really interesting to also think about, in a world, this has been created through COVID, so in a world that isn't COVID, how can we create things that could maybe provoke people in the real world about this future, and how would that look? I think would be really interesting. Or how could we do that in a digital way? It could be another question. But yeah, I think we need to wrap up because it's 3:30 now. So I just want to say thank you everyone for coming along. I hope you enjoyed it. It seemed like a really great session. We're holding another session at 4 o'clock on the futures of learning. So if you're interested in coming along, please do. You can find it on our website. But yeah, thank you everyone so much for coming, and please message us if you want to find out more or have a talk. So I'll see you all soon. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.